the challenges and the process. So I'm going to try to be a little bit more explicit regarding when it comes to Africa, specifically who are the actors who are around. I think that he talked about also the first round and what IDN did, what are the new opportunities they have there, the role of CCTLD as well, and what make challenging the open up of a new round, the next round of GTLD. So we know that when you talk about domain name industry, they have so many actors around. I think that since the beginning of IES, we heard about many organizations, and we still continue to hear about many of them. IFSTARS, AFTLD, IF Registrar, I mean, all these organizations are part of what we call the domain name industry. We also have some other actors that works closely to us and open up, like the Unicode Consortium, the ISO you heard about, even when Bob was trying to give you some ideas about what are the CCTLD database coming from, and this is the ISO, so International Standard Organization. So we have many actors. So let's come to what we get here, because it comes to ICANN, like the registry, the registrar, and the registrant. So when it comes to registrar are organizations that have agreement with ICANN. They have to be compliant and they have a special status. You hear about the numbers. Let's say 15 years ago, we were talking about 1,000 registrars worldwide. At that time, there were no registrar accredited by ICANN in Africa. Since 2006 up to now, we have now, let's say, 13 operational, from South Africa to Morocco, going through Ghana, Senegal. We have different actors. All the names are on the slide, and it gives you an idea about who they are. These organizations are critical when it comes to domain name, because a registrant, an African people who want to register a domain name, cannot go straight to a registry and register a domain name. They all have to go through a ICANN accredited registrar. It might be located in Africa or outside of Africa. So now why are we talking about this IF registrar organization? Because since registrars are very critical to the businesses, and since the registrant need to have a reliable and trusty environment in order to register domain name and know that there is no abuse, so they have a very qualified, well-qualified people who register the domain name, protect their interests, doing all the jobs. So this function is very important, and I think that's why you're going to hear about IF registrar, but there are 13 in the continent, and they are supposed to hold the businesses within the continent. So who are, and what is a registrar? A registrar, they already explained it to you. This is the contractual ICANN businesses, and they have agreement with the registry, they have agreement with ICANN, and it is through that agreement that they are allowed to register domain name for the end user. They have different business models. You know, I mean, it can be traditional reseller focus or low cost or whatever. So there's multiple business model. So why I'm talking that way, because I want to show to African that there are still needs for businesses, and there are still opportunity for businesses who want to invest in the domain name industry. So this gives you an idea about the stakeholder policy when people talk about who they are. You heard about the registry, okay? GTLD, CCTLD, you heard about the registrar, you heard about community, registrant, and end user. So there's something new coming. When you heard about GTLD, for the past round, I think that you already have a number regarding how many new GTLD get on top of the top level domain tree. We talk about 1,200, I mean, numbers right now. But there's something new that makes the interest increasing as well, is what we call the universal acceptance. It means when you heard about the languages, when you heard about how many languages that we have worldwide, and communities and people want to use the internet using their own languages, their own dialect or whatever in order to discuss within themselves. So IDN is something, but when you heard about applications, specifically like emails, there is also something coming, and I think that ICANN is very involved in trying to make this thing happening, like making people using their languages for all the services, not only domain name, but also applications. So if you look at the new round, the first round that ended in 2012, we're talking about what? 1900 plus applications submit. And if you look at Africa at that time, it was only 17 applications in Africa. So 13 years later, the question is still there on the table. I mean, you have numbers, even if the process is not end up, but you have numbers about how many new GTLD are trying to get involved. We don't have the same enthusiasm that we have in the past, but it doesn't mean that there's no interest. It means that maybe the process have been slowing down a little bit, but they still have interest. But the interests are not necessary where the business is located, because some community want to have it, but maybe they don't have all the resources needed in order to make it happen. So, numbers are there. When you talk about universal acceptance, when you look at how many TLD zones you have, more than 1,180 domain names operation right now, it means new GTLD was a little bit successful when we talk technically. On the business side, maybe not necessary, and maybe you're going to see the numbers, but technically we see numbers increasing. Domain name servers, applications, IP addresses for these new things. So there's new things happening. When we look at the numbers in terms of total domain name registered for these TLDs, we're talking about more than 360 million domain names running over more than 1,000 and plus. And if you look at the ratio on how many new TLDs from the new GTLD have registered under that 360 million, we have less than 10%. But okay, even if you look at the numbers of registrars from 2006 up to now, we only have 13 in Africa. You know, there are not many. If you look at the numbers, the increase in terms of numbers are not necessarily there, but the potential is still there. So let me share with you, for example, this. Look, this is the new GTLDs from the latest stat that we have from VeriSign Lab. Thought about less than 10%. So this gives you an idea, 32 million out of 366. So 30 years after we launched the new GTLD program, we don't have, the new GTLD program did not represent more than 10%, but it is still. So why I'm raising this point? Because sometimes people want to discourage people when you want to do something, saying that, well, Africa is not strong enough, we don't have the numbers, we cannot compete. No, I mean, we really need to not be ashamed of having small numbers. What does it mean? It means that we have the potential to grow. It doesn't prevent us from having voice. I mean, it's not because we have small numbers in registration that we should not be part of the challenge or being part of the new program. We can. And especially if we know that even for the first process, the first new GTLD rounds, ICANN have put on the table $1.8 million to support applicants that did not have the money, but shows interest in a community who are interested in having new GTLD on the program. So the same approach have been implemented here as well, with what we call the waivers and 75 to 80% reduction on the total cost of the application. So it means ICANN has still trying to encourage small applicants, community or countries who want to bid for the new GTLD program but don't have enough money for it. So I think that we do not have to be discouraged by the numbers because the potential are still there. And for registrar, I still want to show you that registrar business is still active, is still challenging, but the potential is still there. And I think that what ICANN was trying to do since the beginning is to give more opportunities for underserved regions like Africa and others to be able to be part of the process. So our challenges for the past 20 years was most about being there, participate, being heard. But now the challenge have shifted, and what we're trying to do now is to be more active in terms of participation, in terms of increasing the business, in order of impacting our local economy rather than just trying to be there. And if you heard about what Pierre D'Angino was trying to raise, like what people do when they come back in their country and in their home, how they're going to impact local communities or local contribution in terms of what can I do for people to know more about ICANN, to be more involved, to have decision impact more their local economy. It is still challenging. And I think that that's our new challenge is how can Africans, they might be businesses, that might be civil society, government, regulatory body, how we can impact more our local economy. How can we be more productive in trying to raise and create opportunities for new jobs, new skills, not only fighting for some rights, but impacting the development. So I think that one of the angles that we should take that right now is more under the umbrella of the multilingual environment, the multilingual and dynamic environment where people are trying to give voice to their communities. I think that this is one of the areas where we are expecting to give more things coming, because Africa, out of 7,000 languages worldwide, Africa have more than 2,000 and plus languages. So it means when we heard about new GTLDs, I heard about, I'm looking at that direction. What can we do in order to have more African languages being available? And how can we have our local community seeing themselves as being part of it? So this movement have started and increasing in North Africa, in Eastern, Middle East, in any other region. So we are waiting to see that impact and that move in Africa as well. And I think that this is, for me, one of the key areas that we are looking more and more people getting involved in the challenge of having new GTLD. And I think that if you look at the map, the world map of languages, it gives you an idea about where we are looking these moves coming from, is where we have languages that are not represented, that are not in the Unicode Consortium database. These are the challenges that we are waiting. And I think that what I'm trying to do through my presentation was just to show to people that when we talk about new GTLD program, don't think only about technical. Don't think about just a domain name, registration under the tree. No, it might go beyond. It represents the opportunity for local communities and for internet users, no matter where they are, no matter how many people they are. They can be 1 million, they can be 10 millions, they can be 100 million. No matter the numbers they have the right to use their languages, to be on the internet and to exchange within themselves and to show to people what they have, their culture, their heritage, their businesses. I mean, these are the challenges we are trying to raise. And these, I mean, nobody have the right to tell to other people that you should not be there. We have the right to be there. And I can give example of Senegal, Ivory Coast. Senegal, you have 40 languages. Ivory Coast, you have more than 50 languages. If you look at how many languages are on the Unicode Consortium, you only find 1 or 2, is the French. When we talk about our local languages, they are not there. So for me, this is where I'm looking, the new GTLD program being more active. And I think that CCTLD are playing a great role as well, is if they have the opportunity to submit an application where they can use their CCTLD under the local languages, this is also an area where people are going to see more chance to be present and to use their languages and their culture on the internet. So this is maybe something that I want to share with you guys. We have all the actors, the African Union, the Regional Economic Community, the private sector, civil society, all the multi-stakeholder community. They're going to be part of that process. It's not technical only. It is business, it is governance, it is civil society, it is a representation of all actors, it is legal, lawyers have to be involved. So it's a process. And I think that the more we're going to be convinced that we need to build Africa using our talent, using all the different components of our economy, if you think that way, I think that we're going to make it. If you don't do that, we're going to still look at the people changing the digital economy, having more people getting involved from developing countries. But if you look at underserved region or developing countries like you find it as many in Africa, they're going to be just like spectators. They're going to look at the scene, but they're going to be real actors. Thank you very much. This is the only highlight that I want to share with you guys, and I think that this is going to help you ask more questions to Bob in order to finalize the process.
If you have seen Mouhamet in one of the meetings, ICANN meeting, you can raise my hand. If you see Mouhamet, you'll recognize him, Mouhamet Diop. And if